Hello, I'm Helen, Authentic Discovery. Welcome to this week's Speak Your Truth conversation with the lovely Rebecca. So if would you like to like, subscribe and share, please do. And we'll just get straight on. Hello, would you like to introduce yourself? Thank you so much.
Hi, anyone who's watching or listening. Yeah, I'm Rebecca. I am the director of two brands. There's Strawberry Words, which is my anti-racism personal development training consultancy, and then there's also Time to Glow Up, which is my little baby, which is all about helping people to transform from the inside out through fitness and health, and transforming on the outside as well as the inside.
Okay, so I'm going to go to the first one that you mentioned. Tell us how Strawberry Words came about, and tell us the story of Strawberry Words.
In its initial form, it started as a theatre and education company in around 2003. As you know, Helen, I was influenced by two wonderful ladies, Sharon and Maggie. I was young, I was in university, I was impressionable. I thought, I could change the world, and I wanted to live life my own way. And I saw these two fantastic women, lovely, flowing, living life their own way, and they were educating children, and they were doing it in the most fun and unique way, and they could just be themselves. And that really, I was really warmed to that, and I just knew that that's how I wanted my life to be. And so I worked with them for probably about 2-3 years, and you were part. I say obviously to people who don't know, Helen was a part of that organization Sister Tree in the very early days. And then, after a few years, I kind of went off on my own and started my own company. It was called Harvey Arts at the time, but it's the same Strawberry Words. So we started doing theatre and education workshops, same sort of thing as Sister Tree, going into schools, delivering workshops. But then it started to kind of narrow off because we were constantly asked to deliver workshops around identity and culture. And there was a time where was like a lot of young people coming over from the Middle East, from Eastern Europe, and there's a massive barrier with regards to language and culture. Often we were brought in to deliver usually storytelling or games, theatre workshops, to help the British-born children and these newly arrived children, as they were called, to integrate. So often we would do that really, really well. And we find that by the end of it, people have made new friends, they understand each other, they see the similarities, they appreciate the differences. But what would happen is that the teachers didn't know how to continue that work. So then we were working for Birmingham City Council, the study development team at the time, and what they wanted was work with the teachers. So they said, look, teach teachers what you do. Not only that, they need to understand more about how to work with children from other cultures. Can you teach them how to do that?
So went from teaching the children to facilitating teaching the teachers.
Yes, yeah. And the only experience we had was the experience we had with the children. So it's not like we went on a course to kind of tell teachers this is how you do it. We had to learn as we were going along, but that experience was valuable. And so that then grew into cultural awareness training, which then we started working with other people in the community, in third sector organizations, and again, just having conversations about who people are, what culture is. We kind of touched on racism, but for a lot of people then, and I'm talking about 2008, 2009, 2010, it was very, very difficult to use the word race. Use race, but racism? No. We use prejudice and discrimination, but racism, people weren't having it. And I actually stopped doing those training workshops once for a while, because I always start with the premise in the sessions that we all have bias. And I didn't use that word then, it was prejudice, prejudgment. Yeah. And a teacher, and so I said, I'd asked the question, it was probably a really silly question, to be honest, but I did ask the question, what you know, who do you think you're biased against? It wasn't about talking necessarily about races or cultures. This teacher just took it the wrong way, and she accused me of calling her a racist. And you know, it got to the point when she made a complaint. Luckily, it wasn't upheld, so I didn't do anything wrong. It scarred me so much. I just thought, I don't like this feeling. This is horrible.
Yeah.
And that's when I really, really then first understood difficulty people have about talking about race. Because for me, it was all culture and, you know, let's all get along. And, you know, then I realized, whoa, okay, this is hard. So anyway, so long story short, I took a break from that. In fact, I took a break from the arts world and all the training for a while. As I had my daughter, I went into fitness for a few years. I taught Zumba for a good while. And back in, when did we start Strawberry? So the company was renamed Strawberry Words and made a limited company in 2013.
So where did Strawberry Words come from, the actual
I
name?
knew you were going to ask me that.
Well, I'm curious. So
Not deep, and this is what I'm ashamed to say. Like, it's not deep. I want to come up with a really profound answer, but I can't. So what it was that I just thought I need a new name for a company. Okay, at the time we were really promoting literacy and being able to communicate yourself well, because then you can climb the social ladder if you're able to do that. That's something that has always stayed with the organization. So I knew words was going to be a part of it. But then I thought, okay, but I need something unique. Oh, apple's unique, isn't it? That's different. But that's strawberry. So it became Strawberry Words.
all right, so it's not because strawberries are sweet and you're trying, you know, sweet.
No, I mean, I did kind of like try to lie to myself afterwards and thought, oh, you know, you can interact, you can use, you know, you can interact and use your multi senses with a strawberry. It tastes good, it smells good, it feels good. I thought, no, it didn't come from that. I'd be like,
okay. You just like Strawberry Words because it worked.
Yeah.
And it sounds lovely. It sounds lovely too. So as Bex has kind of highlighted, we've known each other for quite a number of years now. So we've touched on Strawberry Words, and then you talk about the glow up. I can't remember the exact
time to glow up.
Time to glow up. So tell me the inspiration and what that's about, or tell us.
So that's my baby. I mean, Strawberry Words, I guess Strawberry Words is like my teenager now. This is my baby. So this came about because I had cancer. In 2017, I got diagnosed with breast cancer, and I consequently had a mastectomy. And so after that, after I had the surgery, you know, and I, throughout the whole period from being diagnosed to having the surgery, I kind of was just like, what's the word? Just kind of going for it. Like, I didn't really think about what was actually happening. I don't think I really acknowledged that I'd had cancer. And so it wasn't until like all the dust had settled, everybody gone home, the phone died down, I sat down, I just got really sad. Really sad.
That's what had happened.
Yeah, and that's what my psychologist said. She said, you know, when you're in survival mode, when you get some news like that, and that's the word I was looking for. Yeah, I was in survival mode, and then once all that happened, then it's like, okay, your brain can tell you what really happened. It's like, oh, okay, that's huge. And so for 18 months, I called myself depressed, but the doctor said I had anxiety. But I just felt motivation-less. I felt alone, even though there were people around. I just felt as though I didn't want to connect with other people who had cancer because I didn't want to be around other sad people. And yeah, it was horrible. I didn't have any hope for the future. Not that I thought I would die. Because you know, if I would live very much so. I had the operation, which was great. It was successful. I just, for the first time in my life, I didn't know what I wanted to do. However, I did have this, it was like a little spark in my head, and said, what you're going to do is I've always wanted to help other people. I always wanted to motivate other people.
It sounds like that within the arts. Everything that you were doing was about empowering people to be themselves and to celebrate their cultures, their diversity. Yeah. So that's coming through. That's absolutely coming through.
So what I did was, in the early days, I just wrote. I've written a book. I've done nothing with, but I'm planning to. I wrote my blogs. That was so cathartic, just speaking what was on my mind. And some of it, when I read it now, it sounds crazy because maybe people didn't really understand where I was coming from. For me, I just needed to get it out, and that was a way, that was a form of healing, which I'm not sure I really appreciated that at the time. So anyway,
And do you think that's
so in my,
you have an artistic background? Do you think that that's where the writing came in, or
definitely,
do you think you would have written anyway?
I don't think you can separate the two, because it's just all a part of me.
Mm-hmm.
I've always written, then I've always been artistic. And I didn't think of it as creative writing. I've always journaled. So
Oh,
it was just
okay,
another form
okay.
of journaling for me.
Yes, yes.
And also, I was very conscious of the fact that I got a lot of comfort from other people sharing their stories, through YouTube, through their blogs. But when I needed to get answers, I was able to go online and get answers. So I thought, and I want to be that person for other people. And
Mm.
I made videos as well. So anyway, after 18 months, what kind of did the trick? I think I'd purged enough, I'd cried enough, I'd written enough, I'd done all that stuff. I was still sad. I went to a breast cancer weekender.
Okay.
Weekender, like sounds like a party, it wasn't. It was like a weekend of conferences. And so there were all these women who either had it or were going through it at the time. And everybody was sad like me. Some more than others.
Did anybody, just out of curiosity, because from when you started to talk to me about the 18-month sort of time period, I'm thinking, for me, what was going on in my head is, so you were allowing yourself to grieve, but I haven't heard you say that word, and because it sounds as if a lot, I suppose I'm thinking of what can happen is when somebody dies or something, there's a loss. Is that when the loss happens, everybody's there and it's great and and then you're left alone with the loss.
Yeah.
And then you have to grieve for all of what you imagined and all of, whether it's a person or the loss of the life that was. So, because what I'm hearing is that it was almost like a grieving process. Did anybody actually say that you're grieving for what you imagined it was going to be and what? No? I'm just curious.
No,
Anything else?
no one did. I did acknowledge in my mind that I'm saying goodbye to a part of my body. And I think I even wrote a goodbye little letter in my journal, goodbye to my breast. It was just the one. And that's actually, I think that worked. It did what I wanted it to do, because I've never felt that sadness. I've never felt like, oh my gosh, because I got reconstruction. So it's not like I was ever left without one. I think it'd be a whole different kettle of fish if I did. And did a good job. I don't feel like I'm without that, but perhaps me having written that letter helped. I don't know. But no, there wasn't anyone who pointed out I might be grieving for anything. I
Okay,
didn't.
because it's like that's as you're speaking, what I'm hearing is the similarity in the process of grief in terms of once the funeral's happened and it's all died down. Once you've got through it, you're then a lot of the time people, there's a lot of visitors, and it was like you were saying, a lot of people. Then you're on your own with your grief. There's life. Everybody's gone and they're doing what they're doing. They're still there, but it's you sitting there with grieving what the life that you thought you would have or that you were planning. Because I think, I don't know. I have a slight experience with cancer, but not full on. But it is what was before and then what's after, because it changes. It's like having, it's one of those major things like having a child, and these things change. But this is something that is something that's kind of a bit more fatal. Because it can be, you're literally faced with your own mortality as well. So
What I felt was, for the first time in my life, I didn't know what I wanted to do. The trajectory of my life had completely changed. I was aware of that. That wasn't necessarily a bad thing, because I was super stressed before I got ill. In fact, I was looking forward to going in hospital to have a break. Imagine.
okay.
But what that also left was a void. That's what scared me, because I didn't know what the future would look like, and I've never been that sort of person. I've always just known that this is me. I've had that confidence. Didn't have that, and so that really knocked me, because it's like, well, who am I? And then I got scared because I didn't want to be known as that. Because the day that I got diagnosed, rightly or wrongly, I went on Facebook and I shared my diagnosis with the world. And the reason I did that, and I don't regret it actually, the reason I did that is because I know a lot of people. I knew that somehow, some way, shape or form, because I'm always out and about, people are going to hear about the fact that I've got cancer. And I didn't want to keep having that conversation over and over again. And not only that, quite a few people months prior to me who'd either died from cancer or had cancer. And I was just sick and tired of hearing this word. And lo and behold, I had it. And I just wanted to warn people of the signs. I wanted people to know, don't ignore the signs. I knew I was very lucky because it was early. I didn't know what the outcome would be, but I knew I had a good chance. And so, what was my point? I was telling you that, I put it on Facebook, and I've completely lost my point. What was the question?
You were saying, I was talking about the processes of grief and then coming to terms. You were on about that when you got your diagnosis, you informed people so that you wouldn't have to keep having the same conversation.
Yeah, there's a reason I was telling you that, and it's just completely gone out of my head.
Well, unfortunately, these things go out of my head all the time. So
it's okay,
even though it was my question, I'm like, let's moving swiftly on. So your glow up, time to glow up.
Yes,
So
yeah.
So we
got to the point where I'm at this weekend now. I see this woman, unlike everybody else, she's full of beans and she's just lively and lovely and happy. I'm like, what is that? I want that. She reminds me of Sharon. Sharon is, for those who are watching, one member of Sister Tree who's always vibrant and full of energy. She was like the white version of Sharon. And I was like, oh my gosh, I want this. So I actually went to her and I said, look, what's this? What is all this? Where's it come from? She said it's meditation. And she told me the exact program that she'd followed. Oh gosh, I forget the name, but it's Mindfulness. What's a green book? I forget it. But anyway, it was an 8-week program. I bought the
mindfulness stress MBSR, the mindfulness-based stress reduction. If it's an 8-week, that's an 8-week program.
No.
Oh, okay.
Oh gosh, I can't remember it. So anyway, so I got the book, and with the book, we were able to download the app. And so daily, I would do this twice a day. What kept me going was this woman, this vision of this woman. And also when I read through the book and I read about the data connected to the effectiveness of meditation, I was sold. I'm like, this is not just some mumbo jumbo or one person's experience. This is, rooted in scientific data. So I went with that. And lo and behold, by the 7th week, I was feeling amazing. Okay. I was just it was incredible. It's like I was not only back to myself, but I was even more so. And so, then that was 2019, only last year. So that whole year was my glow up year. What that meant was I really started to look after myself. I started to go to different events. I started to learn about my makeup and my clothes and my hair, and I started to care about what I look like on the outside. At the same time, I was attending empowerment events. I started reading again. I got rid of a lot of negative energy around me. I didn't realize how powerful that was until it went, and it was almost like a breath of fresh air. And I had this idea in my head that I wanted to start this podcast, and which would be the Time to Glow Up podcast. And it's an empowerment event. Another woman who had breast cancer, she basically said, go do your thing. It's like she gave me the permission to do it. I started the podcast in January of this year. And now I'm on the 3rd season of the Time to Glow Up podcast, which is going really, really well. Alongside that, I knew that I had to have an entity to hold all of this. And that is the Time to Glow Up brand. So what that has been so far, I've done talks, I've run fitness programs. I'm running another one at the moment, a challenge to do 100 squats a day. But the idea is that through the brand, what I do is to help people to once they've got through some sort of adversity, whether that's an illness, whether it's a divorce or whatever it might be, what I'm very conscious of is that some people stay in that place of pain. And you don't have to, and that's what I'm trying to tell people, is that you can live a wholehearted life. I love Dr. Brene Brown, and she uses that word quite often. Live wholeheartedly. It's about being fulfilled. It's about being happy. It's about being satisfied and content. And I think so many people don't believe that's possible once you've gone through something really big. And I've proved that it can be done, and I've seen other people. And when I talk to people on the podcast, those are the kinds of people I'm talking to. People who've been through some major stuff. They're still trying to live their best life, and that's what I'm trying. That's the message I'm trying to spread.
I'm just curious because
You've gone really quiet.
I've gone really quiet.
Yeah.
Hello.
I can hear you, but you're quiet.
Yeah. Okay. One of the things when you were speaking, I'm just kind of exploring this. One of the things that I have noticed when working with people, and even just people that I come into contact with, is some people are comfortable in their own sadness, and because it's known to them, and it's familiar, and they would rather stay there than take that step towards healing and wholeheartedness and following their bliss and living their life. Have you found, or have you found that the people that are glowing up were people that, because you're quite a powerhouse, you always have been very motivated. Have you found that that is something that has sort of a thread that's gone through, or has their experience, because I also know people that have gone through some seriously life threatening things and whatever, and they still decide to stay in this mire of mucky, oppressive life because it's comfortable to them and they don't want to step out of it. A lot of people, because I used to believe that if somebody had something fatal happened to them, or they were, faced with their mortality, that they just went out then and really lived. But what life has shown me is, if they weren't living before, most people don't bother living after either, if that makes sense. Have you seen, or would you say that that is a thread, that the people that are glowing up were quite motivated before, they were quite living their life before, or is it not something that you've looked for? Or
it's a good question. I think perhaps that is the case, but yeah, I mean, because I always, when I'm talking to people, I always get an idea of where their lives were first. And I guess you're right. And I suppose that kind of demonstrates an unconscious bias in me, in that I have spoken to people who are similar to me, who were quite vibrant and vivacious for the stuff. They had their sad moments, but then came back. No, I suppose, yeah, I guess, that's really good, actually. I hadn't thought about that.
I was just curious because, as I say, I suppose I've been doing the work that I do for a long time, and one of the things that I've seen, and it's funny enough, it's people within my own family that have really shown me that it doesn't matter how.
Oh, Helen, I'm really struggling to hear you.
Are you?
Yeah.
Is that better?
Not really.
Better?
No.
Oh, I don't really know.
Okay. You're a bit closer, I can hear you a bit better.
Okay. So yeah, I suppose I had to accept at some point, and it's also then sort of, even the people that I don't choose to work with, because I will work with it, but the ones that are going to be successful are the ones that want to change, that they had a life and they want their life back, or there was a spark in them. But then there's these people that it doesn't matter how much scientific evidence you give them, it doesn't matter how you promote yourself and live, they are just not interested, and they see you almost as attacking them for kind of going, you can have, because they'll go, oh, you've got a lovely life, oh, you're so, and you're like, you too can have it, and it's almost like you've slapped them with a wet salmon, like, how dare you tell me I could have this. So I just was wondering whether you had seen that kind of thread, that perhaps the people that are the ones that are glowing up, they one of the reasons that they've resonated with it is just like you saw that woman and you were like, I want that, because to be fair, that's who you are as well. You are a Sharon in terms of the brightness and the zest for life. So you then become that beacon for people, so they can go, that's what I wanted. That's what I want in my life. That's
Mm,
where my life was at. So
mm.
it was more of a curiosity, I suppose, that I
Yeah,
kind of.
and don't get me wrong, I'm not ignorant to the fact that there are people like that. I suppose my personal hope is that they will want to come out of that place of, will be find the motivation to come out of that place. I'm also very, I'm very aware that some people will never, and you can't make people change.
No, you can
Um,
take a horse to
but
water, you can hold his head under, but if you
yeah,
don't
yeah,
drink him, he's not
exactly.
going to
But I
drink.
also know that you can plant seeds. And
Yes.
sometimes, it's people aren't ready, but it doesn't mean they're not hearing. They're not inspired. It just might not be the right time.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that I think is very useful and something I'm conscious of.
Yeah, but that means that you because of that hope and that knowledge of seed planting, that you will continue to do that.
Mm.
So I very much can identify with that. So what inspired you prior to your experience with cancer? What was your inspiration that took you down the creative arts route, down the performing arts route? Where was you? Where did the inspiration, the foundation?
Well, when I was a child, I was very shy. And I was shy to the point where I picked up the phone because my mum told me to pick up the phone because it was ringing, and I didn't have any level of comfortability talking to other members of my family. I was really made me uncomfortable. And then one day during drama, like this person who I didn't know existed started acting and being Mrs. Daughter and being rebellious. I was like, what? And I really love that feeling of just expressing myself, and I wasn't me. And I was like, oh my gosh, I want more of this. And so I joined the drama group. My mum allowed me to join a drama group. And kind of that was it. It really helped me to build my confidence just by being someone else. And so,
You see what's possible, don't you? Then you
it
kind of
again,
you see what's possible. You
yeah,
experience the possibilities.
yeah, yeah. And so, yeah, and then that then informed my decision to go to university and study performing arts. Initially I was going to be an actress, and I guess I started out doing that. Then I started to see some of the problems in society, and that's when, obviously, as I said, Harvey Arts at the time was born, and I decided to use the arts to help level the playing field. But now it's more about using teaching, because it was always a form of teaching anyway. I didn't
Yeah.
realize it was using teaching training to help level the playing field.
I use the term facilitating growth and facilitating
Yes,
learning. I think
yes,
that I like the term.
yeah,
It's just a personal
yeah, yeah.
preference. I love the term facilitating
Mm.
because I think it just has a more expansive. It allows for more expanse than
Well,
teaching.
you're
'Cause
louder again,
teaching,
which is great. No, I
sorry.
agree. You're louder again, which is
Oh.
great. Um, Yeah, no, absolutely agree. And the reason I use teaching is because I'm doing a lot of anti-racism training at the moment. It is very much a facilitation process because you have to facilitate that learning. You can't just go in and go, see you later. What do you do with that information? How
Yeah.
do people process that information? How do they develop strategies as a result of what they've just learned? So it is very much a facilitated process.
So just because I do know you, I know that there's a lot more to you than the glow up and strawberry words because I believe you're heavily involved within your community, um, uh, almost on a political level. Am I right in thinking that with the police and things like that? Are you still doing that work or?
Yeah, so I am a ethics committee member for the data analytics lab for West Midlands Police,
Okay, you've
and
got to tell me what that means.
I know. So yeah, it's actually quite serious work. So so 2 years I worked in the criminal justice system. I worked for an organisation that works with arts organisations and artists who work in the criminal justice system. So that's the first time I'd worked in that field. Obviously, I've always worked in the arts, but criminal justice was new to me. So that then really got me thinking about learning about the disparities, the racial disparities within the criminal justice system. The fact that there are like 53% of young people in the criminal justice system are from a Black, Asian, and minority ethnic background. is crazy. As a population,
like
we're 13-14%, right? So it's madness. I mean, and even the adult population is 28%. 53 is ridiculous. So, you know, I've seen lots of evidence or read lots of reports that talk about the disparities. And I guess I just wanted to be a part of that change. So this position came about, and what the data analytics lab is basically the police are wanting to use computerized data, which will then help to explore crime, predict the likelihood that certain types of people will commit crime. Now, as you can imagine, this could cause all sorts of problems, right?
Are they profiling? Are they, you know?
So this is why the ethics committee was born. It was just obviously to make sure, to keep an eye on what's going on and make sure that it's done in an ethical and fair way. So yeah, I am the only African Caribbean person on the committee at the moment. I've been there for about a year and a half. It's really difficult because we're dealing with some really dense scientific data. But I feel like we're doing a great job. I feel as though, you know, there's about 10 of us. Some really, we've got lawyers on there, human rights lawyers and data analysts and all sorts. People who really know their stuff. I mean, I'm a lay person, but I, you know, obviously come with my experience. And yeah, I feel like we're doing what the job was meant to do.
Can I, because of the time that we're in right now, and it is fairly unprecedented what's going on in the world, has this ethics, this data analysis that you're involved in, have they noticed, or have you noticed how it is impacting upon crime and different things within?
It's too early for that at this stage. Okay. Yeah, it's too early. We don't meet that often. Right. So perhaps, you know, as the meetings go on, we'll start to see that. But yeah.
Okay. What would be, so we're in this time. So did this change your plans? Have you had to alter much of what you do because of what's gone on? Has it impacted on
time? And it's been great. I mean, not great. Obviously, COVID is not great. COVID is not great. It's awful in terms of, you know, people dying, people losing their jobs and whatever. So I don't mean to mock in any way, shape or form. But for me personally, I mean, don't get me wrong, I've had my moments where I was nearly pulling my hair out because when we had lockdown, the first one, I was still working in my job. Albeit it was a part-time job, but I had my daughter at home. I'm a lone parent. And so I had to, you know, be on Zoom meetings and try to look at what she's doing. Or, you know, sometimes leave her in the other room, but then I know she's lonely and it's like, So that was really tough. And so actually it was all of that. And the whole Black Lives Matter movement and all of that just made me think, look, now's the time to go. Now is the time to go. I was still running Strawberry Words anyway. I had a mentor who was amazing. And I said, look, I just can't deal with all this. Like, what do I do? And we kind of worked on a plan. And so, yeah, that plan was born. And it just so happened at that time that more people were wanting anti-racism training. And so I really went to town on
the Black Lives Matter explosion in America. People became open to hearing these kind of things now.
Yeah, so what's happened is that a lot of organizations, well, let's not even start with the organizations. A lot of Black staff have said, what are we doing? Is there a Black Lives Matter statement? Or maybe the organizations have said, oh, we need a Black Lives Matter statement. They put one out there and their staff are calling them out on Twitter and like, hold on a second. How have you got that Black Lives Matter statement and you're not doing A, B, C, and D? Or I've had this problem or whatever. And so a lot of organizations and companies have been panicking and realizing that, oh my gosh, actually, we don't know a lot of stuff, or we did something wrong and we need to correct that. So maybe we need to kind of learn more about this world. And so I've been one of many people who've been giving people that education. So it's really quite, initially, I guess it's quite shocking to hear what people don't know, because I think as a Black person, I can only speak as a Black person. I can't speak for anybody else. But generally, you have an idea. You know what racism is. You know what it feels like. You know what it looks like. You might know quite a little bit
sometimes as well.
Say again.
What it tastes like sometimes too.
Okay. And yeah, so you know all of that, and you probably know all about a lot about your history, whereas a lot of white people have never had to have those conversations. So a lot of this stuff is new, and so I'm really having to go from the very basics, and even just by identifying and describing what racism is, and then talk about the impacts. Sometimes put in my own experience if I'm talking to a whole group of just white people. And what I love is that there's a real genuine general openness wanting to have the conversation and to learn more. Don't get me wrong, there are a few people who like don't care. One, for instance, there was feedback on for one person from an organization who said, okay, so I'm racist, so what?
Oh, wow.
So yeah, so you know, no, you can't please everybody.
I'm depressed, my life's sad, but I'm going to stay here.
Yeah, so but for the majority of people are, you know, they're taking it really well. So I feel quite encouraged. It's never comfortable work. I do get quite tense, sometimes a bit stressed, but you know, you got to talk about some really difficult topics. Like white privilege is like it's really tough to
A
deal with.
cognitive dissonance that can go on with people, like I am not a racist. I think
Yeah.
it's Jane Edwards, her work. I think her work is fabulous because one of the things that she says is we are all racist. So it levels the playing field by identifying that even within Black people, racism exists, although that has changed the terminology a little.
Yes, I wouldn't quite agree. I think it can all be prejudice and discriminatory. I mean, I don't know if I should go into detail.
I was going to say, because race, if you're talking about the actual technical term, like definition of it, but on
Yeah,
that,
if you're talking.
what she does is levels the playing field as
Yeah.
like we're all educated and indoctrinated into these thought patterns, whether we're black, white, yellow, whatever it is. We are all indoctrinated into even the way that the world spins
Yeah.
in the universe. We have it as the white bits at the top and the darker shades.
No, absolutely, I do agree with that. We all partake in systemic racism, whether you know it or not.
Yeah. So she so that leveling of the playing field can help to make people feel a little bit more comfortable with the white privilege, with their that it's not it's not
because
something
it's inherited.
they necessarily did on purpose. And don't get me wrong, there are racist people, and there are people that want to be and are happy to be and whatever. But for most people, it is something that has happened to them, or it's happened without their even being conscious. A bit like NLP and the reprogramming that's happening at the moment. A lot of people are very unaware of what's going on. So in terms of what is the future, what does the future hold then, either for Strawberry Worlds or for you, Bex? What does the future hold for you? It's
actually a really exciting time. Today I found out that I'm a qualified personal trainer. I've been working on it for the last 11 months, sorry. So the idea is that, you know, Strawberry Words continues as it is. However, I want to put a lot more of the work online, so I can free up some of my time to do more of the time to glow up stuff. And you know, the idea with that, as I say, it is my baby. I want to do lots more personal development programs with people. I want to publish my book. In fact, I want to publish books. And so I really want to extend the work I'm doing in that area. I really want to empower women. And, you know, one area that I hadn't really thought about until I started to really embark on this is empowering single mothers. Because through learning about unconscious biases, it's all tied together. You know, I've learned that there's a massive unconscious bias. I mean, we know there's a conscious bias towards single mothers, but there's a massive unconscious bias, which is so steeped in misogyny, and I didn't know that. And you know, because even the fact that, you know, we tend to vilify, or society tends to vilify the parent that chose to stay. What sense does that make? It's actually ludicrous. It doesn't make sense. The person is staying there, nurturing the child. Actually, we should be lifting them up and celebrating them, but we don't as a society. But a lot of that is steeped in dislike for women and their position in society. So knowing all of that empowers you It's like, actually, that's not true. That's a lie. Just like, being told as a black person, you're less than, or you're othered, you're different to the norm. When you learn that's a lie, because this hierarchy thing is not real. So it's like, whoa, I sit in my greatness. So I want to do that. I want to help other people to realize that stuff, and so that's through my products, it's through my programs. And
It reminded me of I'm actually in the process of delivering a 6-week Being Well adventure. So we're now week 2. And one of the guest practitioners that came on to speak last night was talking, and it was to do with woman, goddesses, womb, mother. It was and one of the things that came through, I mean, it's been a patriarchal society, and so single mothers, on top of all of the shame and what women do to each other, and we looked into the myth and mythology, sort of like even Medusa raped by Poseidon, and then then turned into Medusa by Athena, like how the myth and how since time began, woman has been vilified for being woman. So a woman that decides to go out and raise her children on her own has that already there, and all of that sort of the whole thing about being female and disempowered, and there is this rise of the divine feminine right now. So that all plays into it. You just reminded me of that. So,
and I'm very much into that, by the way. Like that's a big part of my glow up, is really embracing femininity, because I didn't before. It's not in Jamaican culture to do that. It's quite a matriarchal society, but at the same time, it's quite masculine, and I didn't realize that. So I've learned that actually I've always had quite feminine tendencies. I never leaned into them. Now I'm totally for it. It's an easier life. One.
You honor yourself, don't you? It's about honoring you.
Yes.
And I mean, I'm all about men, masculine, female, whatever you are, honoring yourself. And when a woman honors herself, whether she's more masculine or feminine, but as soon as a woman honors herself, the whole world benefits. Your house definitely benefits. If your house is benefiting, then that's expanding out into your communities. And it's been very, like you say, misogyny, the fear. Men have been so frightened so long. And we've also, I don't understand, one of the I suppose the things that causes me kind of like is what we have done to each other. I've always been a woman's woman. That's how my entire life I've been a woman's woman. I didn't actually so in saying that, I wasn't, I had girlfriends when I was younger, but I always found that I was happier in male company. But I've always been a woman's woman, and yet there are so many women out there that have bought into because we've had to find ways of expressing ourselves and exercising power, whether it be the white woman is the Victorian times with the girdles on, and she feign to pass out and get how the tricks and the nuances of being a woman and what in order to achieve what she wants. It's phenomenal. We are phenomenal. We are
phenomenal. And I do feel a little bit sad for I guess the little girl in me, because I'm 43 now, and it's only now I'm embracing that. And
some people never do, Bex, so congratulations.
I know. Yeah, hopefully I have the rest of my life to do this. But it's certainly something. Yeah, because I always saw myself as a black person first and foremost. I didn't concern myself with women's issues. I saw myself as a feminist. I didn't realize that women weren't really part of that feminist movement when included. So I just saw myself as a black person. That's probably one of the reasons why I've been so like in the community fighting for our rights. And it's like, hold on. And I think it's when you get ill, or when you get tired, or when you have a mental breakdown, or whatever it is, you then start realizing, oh my gosh, I haven't got any more energy to give. How do I look after? And that's when you start to look after yourself and start to realize that you are vulnerable. You are the receiver, you are delicate, and you need to be taken care of. And I just think too often with
take care of yourself, you also show people how to take care of you.
Yes.
And I think for women, even you know, sexually, like, you know, women, they're either got headaches or they're faking or they're this or they're that. You know, there's all this historical stuff about us not taking care of ourselves, and for me, it's all about honoring the self and being
Yes.
honest about what you want, what you, not even what you want, what you need in
Mm.
order for you to be you. And
Yes.
I think sometimes people think that that's like, oh, it's going to be massive and it's going to be huge and it's going to be impossible. And when you 95% of the time, when you bring it down to what you actually need for you, it's really not that big. It's like dealing with your shadow. It's not as frightening as the
No.
thought of it. You know, the fear is the thought of it, and what
Mm.
we've been fed about honoring ourselves,
Yes.
and then it would be, you know, women are going to cause trouble and she's going to be uppity, or she must be on her feet,
Mm.
or she must be, you know, it's all of that sort of stuff that goes into that. Anyway, I'm
Mm.
going to digress and end up somewhere else. So so Bex, this is called your Speak Your Truth conversation. So my final question for you is, before my final question, how do people get in touch with you, and how do people connect with you if they wish to connect with you for any of the work that you do?
So if you're interested in the anti-racism stuff, that's the training work or the talks, then it's strawberrywords.co.uk. And if you're interested in the personal development, fitness, health, the glow up side of things, if you just want to be inspired, it's timetoglowup.co.uk. And you can also find me on Instagram, the Bex in the City.
Okay. So Bex, my final question for you, what truth would you like to share?
Oh my gosh. Truth. Is it okay? I need some context. So, what truth? My own truth, or
Whatever.
oh my gosh? Okay.
What truth
Um.
you like to share? So from whatever angle, wherever way you want to look at that, because what I've learned about truth is it's a bit like an orange, and depending on which side of the orange,
Yeah.
so whatever truth you wish to share, what truth would you like to share?
I would like to share my truth. Is that the truth? Yeah. The truth isn't always what you think it is, and that's what I know to be true, and that is empowering. So we are, we are all in a form of the matrix. And when you realize that, it can open up a whole new world. And that's massive. So I just realized actually, that's certainly been my truth. And this is why I feel like I am living that glowed up life. It don't matter what happened to me, because life isn't always perfect. It doesn't matter what happens to me. I can always come back to this place because now I know it exists.
How fabulous. I like that. I can come back to this place because I know it exists. Cool. So, Bex, thank you so much for joining me in Speak Your Truth Conversation. Thank you to everybody. If you just like to hold on for 1 second. Thank you to everybody for watching. You will find information down below how to connect with Bex for the various multitude of things that she can offer. You can also find information on how to connect with myself. So please like, subscribe. Thank you so much for watching, and please don't forget to join me again in Speak Your Truth Conversations. Thank you.